Dearly beloved, I've gathered you here today to finally bring a close to the Halloween season. Yes, it is nearly the end of November, and I am finally wrapping up October. I hope everyone had such a good Halloween season. I was participating in Halloween-a-thon, which was so much fun and so integral to my enjoyment of Halloween this year. Last year, I was so sad just thinking about all of the differences in moving to Australia and Halloween over here and it just not having the same magic. However, this year, with the help of Halloween-a-thon and really leaning into what I had control over rather than the differences in my life and in the culture here, I was able to do so much more and really enjoy my Halloween season. Halloween-a-thon, of course, is the Halloween readathon, watchathon hosted by Kelsi of Slime and Slashers and a set of hosts. And so much of my enjoyment from it came from the Discord and being able to share in crafts I was doing, whether it was like, doing my nails for Halloween or creating a spooky bouquet to put in a vase outside on Halloween. I made some other crafts too. Like it was just so much fun. And then also just like autumnal foods, beverages. Of course, it's getting hot here, not autumnal at all. But I'm so proud of myself for like actually making some magic for myself and thinking about like what do I want to be my family traditions moving forward and what do I have control over. And it's not buying things. There's no Halloween stuff to buy here really. And so you have to make everything yourself, and I just like had so much fun crafting. It is something that I'm definitely making space to do more frequently and not putting so much pressure on myself that if you're doing something vaguely artistic that it has to be profound and really skillful. There's just joy in making things and getting your hands dirty to having tactile things, and I don't know. It was just so much fun. But I did read a good bit for Halloween-a-thon this year. I didn't finish everything that was on my TBR. Some of it is like still in the making. Like I just finished Goblin that I was reading for Halloween-a-thon this morning, and some other things that I still have going on my Kobo. But that is one of my goals for No Regrets November, is that I'm finishing all of those half finished things. So even though it sounds like so much more fun to just keep starting new stuff, I will be finishing those things. However, I did finish a lot of books, and so I am so excited to finally be talking about them. Although, one thing that I do want to talk about that I'm enjoying this month is I didn't really get to enjoy Halloween candy. There's not too many vegan candies here. They all have gelatin in them. It's so frustrating, especially because there's allegedly a lot of vegetarians in Australia as well. However, we have just started importing the Percy Pig candies from England, and these are all vegan and they are so good. How gorgeous is this reversey Percy? Ugh, so delicious. I love gummy candies. That was all an aside. We're getting into the reading now. Many of these I've already talked about in recent horror releases, new horror book roundups that I've been doing, about like 4 or 5 books. I'm recording another one today as well, and I have really been enjoying recording those. It's like some of my favorite stuff to film right now. I would love to know what your favorite stuff to watch is, though, because that does help guide me into prioritizing what to record. And, I just love some feedback. But the first book that I finished in October was Everyone in This Bank is a Thief by Benjamin Stevenson, which is the fourth book in the Ernest Cunningham mystery series. Normally, a mystery like this wouldn't be the first thing that I pick up in October and Halloween, because it is more of a cozy mystery, is maybe correct. It's really more of a golden age fair play type of mystery. But the reason that I read it so quickly in October is because it came out here the first week of October. I had a book signing to go to on the Friday. So I think books come out on Tuesday. I picked it up Tuesday, made sure I read it before the Friday so that I could go to the book talk. Not that it was going to spoil anything, but I just thought it would be so much more special if I had already read the book whenever I got there, and that he could sign a book that I'd already read. And this is the best one in the series. And I It is the best one in the series, but in every aspect. If you're unfamiliar with the Ernest Cunningham series, they are inspired by fair play mysteries, golden age mysteries like Agatha Christie, where they give you all of the clues so that you could technically solve it yourself. And his goal as a writer is that he makes the mystery complex enough that whenever you get to the end, hopefully you've solved part of it. Hopefully not all of it, because they are very intricate, but there's no reveals that you're like, where did that come from? They all have clues that could lead you to finding the right answer. And this is the first time that I like tabbed clues going in. It's hard to know in the first 50 pages of a mystery what information is what. Like, it's just giving you so much information that you don't know what it's going to repeat, what's actually important. So I did fall off on tabbing. I figured out a lot of it, probably like 75% of it, but there's multiple mysteries to figure out in here, because the premise of this is that Ernest Cunningham is an amateur sleuth. He was a mystery writer. He was an expert on Golden Age mysteries. And then he found himself in the midst of murders that he himself was solving using his skills as a writer. And so in this entry in the series, Ernest finds himself in a small regional Australian town. And he's there because they're allegedly making a movie about his life, or a movie about the first book in the series. It's very meta in that way. These books are so meta, so funny. Usually when I hear things described that way, that is something that is not usually that appealing to me. It makes me think of like Deadpool or Marvel movies that are, like millennial humor, like, oh, that just happened, kind of kind of those kind of meta references. Not that. So actually funny here. He's there trying to get a loan for himself, and he is in this bank when suddenly it gets taken hostage, that there is a thief who comes in and has taken the whole bank hostage. But the twist is that everyone in the bank is a thief, and they all came to the bank to steal something that day, all different things. And so there's so many individual mysteries, and some things are physical things, some things are metaphorical things, but just so funny, so smart. The mystery was so good, and by this fourth book in the series, the characters are really interesting. I love Ernest and his fiance. Maybe we'll see a wedding in the next one, but I was really taken aback by how much this was my favorite in the series, because the other books take place on almost like sexier locations. Like the first book is at a resort. The second book is on a train, a literary convention being held on a train full of murder mystery writers. The Christmas novella is set in the Blue Mountains. And so a bank doesn't really sound as sexy, but my gosh, was it? This was so much fun. There is a parrot that is important to the story. I love how there's like so many clues on the cover, but you don't know what it's a clue to until you read the book. Like, even someone like me, who is usually so jaded by thrillers and mysteries because I can see twists coming from a mile away, these really still take me aback. And the author himself is so funny and charming. Like, the talk was so good, and yeah, loved this. It really started off my reading month in a great spot. But this was the most fun I've had reading a book in so long. Like, it was so addictive to read, and I could read so many mysteries like this. But yeah, so they're really self-aware. It'll tell you like what pages the murders are going to be on. He'll be like, this is a clue, by the way, so remember this. And other times he'll be like, you might think that this is going to be a clue, but it's not. I'll just go ahead and tell you. Like, don't worry about this. And he's never lying to you. Like, it's always, it seems with how many times he tells you what is and isn't a clue that you could figure everything out, but still surprising things. And some things that I figured out in this were so personal to my experiences, like my knowledge about the world, that I think a lot of people wouldn't have that niche knowledge. So I'm sure a lot of people were taken highly aback by some of the twist in this book that I kind of saw coming because of some niche interest that I have. But so fun. I highly recommend this whole series. My partner just started the first one. He's gone to the past two talks with me. I did go see his talk for Everyone This Christmas Has a Secret as well. But yeah, what else is there to say whenever it's a mystery fourth in the series, except read the series if you like mysteries at all. If you like Agatha Christie, like, these are so fun and I just love them. But I think this comes out in the US next year. That's one of the small perks of being in Australia. I fear that may be the only physical read that I have this month. A lot of audiobooks and ebooks. Next up, Exiles by Mason Coile. Um, this was a book that I felt very mid on. I know people really like this author's book, William, I believe it's called, about like an AI horror story, I think. Exiles, though, is more of a sci fi horror. It takes place on a mission to Mars, I believe. There are just a few people on this shuttle out there going to a station that has been prepared to them by some robots. They get there and something has happened that it has been trashed. It looks like there has been monsters. The humans don't know if they can trust the robots. There is a feminine robot, a girl. One of the robots is presenting as a woman. They've given themselves names. This all upsets the humans, that they have maybe done some things that they feel was not in their programming, and I feel like it moved pretty predictably from there. Like, I thought that it had really good atmosphere, but I didn't feel like the explorations of gender were very nuanced or anything new. It was interesting and it's pretty short. The plot moves at a pretty brisk pace, so it was entertaining, good atmosphere. However, I felt like it was going for some big questions, as sci-fi typically is, and I didn't feel like I was wowed by what it had to do with answering those questions. So yeah, I'm still looking for a sci-fi horror that really blows me away, but it wasn't this one. I love the cover though. I think the cover is really striking. Next is one that I did a full video review for, Crafting for Sinners by Jenny Kiefer. I loved the premise of this. However, I felt like it let me down in a couple of domains. First of all, I just felt like it wasn't very interesting from an action perspective. It's following a woman who was raised in a very conservative, controlling, religious environment. She has a long term male partner. However, she realizes that she likes women as well. And she breaks up with him, breaks up with the church at the same time. We're with her a couple of years down the line whenever she is living with her partner, and she is trying to pay the bills in this small town. There's nowhere for her to work, allegedly, because the Hobby Lobby type craft store in town, mega craft store, fired her because of personal differences, or that their values didn't align, something like that, something that alluded to the fact that she was with a woman now. And so our character is trying to pay the bills by taking commissions for knitting blankets, etc. I thought that with Crafting for Sinners as the title, this kind of cover, that it being about like a Hobby Lobby type of business, that it would be rich and develop the characteristics of her around her crafting hobby. However, crafting is not really of importance in the novel, really, at all. It gets her through the first 15-20 pages to get to the Hobby Lobby type building, and after that, it's more of a religious cult type action story, and it really is just kind of like an action story. And that's the second domain where it really let me down, was that I felt like this was such a big topic to handle, to talk about separating yourself from the church after being raised in that environment, for it to sculpt your brain. And I did not feel like how the character was written, that she really had any lasting effects of that, or had to really go through any unlearning. It was kind of like she just realized that she liked women and she left the church, and now she's fine, and there's no complicated feelings about leaving the church or anything like that, almost like she never really believed it. But that's not what the story tells us. There's a lot of the story telling you what's going on, and no world building, no details, no dialogue that really leads you to believe what you're being told. a good chunk of the story, maybe 60-70% of it, is just this woman trying to survive being chased around this Hobby Lobby by other employees slash members of the church in this town. And yeah, the dialogue was really flat. The story didn't even try to touch on the trauma of it. And that felt almost disrespectful because it is a story that is very personal to me. But anyway, if you'd like more thoughts on that one, I did do a whole video review for it. The next one that I read was Mimi's Tales of Terror by Junji Ito. This was so much fun. Poor Mimi, poor Mimi. What can I say but poor Mimi? Mimi is going through all kinds of stuff. It is kind of like Uzumaki, where there are recurrent characters and then just different stuff keeps happening to them. And it's almost hilarious because it's like, girl, you have been through so much, because it's all these short stories where just horrible stuff keeps happening in front of Mimi. And you know what she was serving? It's just 9 short, scary stories, but Mimi's the main character encountering all of them. And so, yeah, there's really not much more to say other than like Junji Ito at his usual, that he's just like, let me show you something that's really weird and then we're moving on. Doesn't do a lot of over explaining of any of it, which I love, but it's so funny whenever it's like the same character that it's all happening to, because poor girl. Really fun if you would like to read a horror manga short story collection. Next, I read Mother Thing by Ainslie Hogarth, which was recommended to me by Amelia. So thank you very much, because I did enjoy this. I thought it was weird. I didn't really, it wasn't exactly what I thought it was going to be, but it is the type of book that I like, where you are just following a character who is a little bit over anxious and paranoid and seeing the world in a really weird way and doing weird things that they then hate themselves for doing because they know they're weird, but they just can't stop. It's very compulsive. Our main character, Abby, had a very unhappy childhood, but things are turning out better for her. She is so in love with her husband, Ralph. She was trying to have a baby. She wants to have this mother figure. However, Laura is not that mother figure to her, and she takes her own life, and Abby decides she wants to steal her ring. And that's where things start to get really weird, because now they're being haunted by the mother-in-law. Abby's going through some other hard things. She works at a resident care facility. One of her favorite residents is trying to get moved by her daughter. She feels like her daughter doesn't care about the mother. Abby has very complex feelings about motherhood, and that is driving her crazy in every part of the story. And the title, of course, a reference to a mother thing, like they do in primate studies, where they can even give it just like a bit of wire with a blanket wrapped around it, and the monkey's mental health improves just by having that mother thing around. And yeah, so it's a weird and sad book. I think I'd classify it more in my weird books category, more so than horror. So not the most Halloween-y read of the month, but still one that I enjoyed all the same. Don't Get Blood in My House by Matthew King, I reviewed in a roundup video. This was such a weird book. The author reached out to me to review it, and it's about 4 killers meeting at a dinner party. And my main impression of this, the plot is weird. They're at this like cursed mansion, and it's allegedly a dinner party, but it doesn't really revolve around the dinner part of it or sitting around a table that much. It's more so that they're all at this house together. Some of them play like weird, evil, cosmic horror board games. And my main takeaway from this were how interesting the characters were. They were all so different, almost like larger than life, not stereotypes, but thematic characters, like there would be in wrestling or drag queens or something like that, where you have individual silhouettes, something like a video game, individual silhouettes, skills, just very different type of characters. It was so bizarre in structure, though, that it's hard to review it in a way that I think makes sense at all. But yeah, just Very, very interesting character work, and there was a lot of flavor to it. Graceview Patient by Caitlin Starling, I also reviewed. This one was better than I thought it was going to be. And the main comp title that I agree with is that it was much like Misery, because it is this woman who is confined to a hospital bed because of a drug trial that she's going through, an experimental drug trial for her very rare autoimmune disease. And similar to Misery, you really feel how claustrophobic it can be to be confined to a bed, especially whenever the people around you don't know if you can trust. Both the doctors and nurses, also other residents, you don't know who is telling the truth, or if they're paranoid, or if this drug is doing weird things, what exactly is going on. I haven't read another book that is really like a healthcare horror in that way, and about the loss of bodily autonomy, stuff like that. So I found that really refreshing, interesting topic, interesting premise. And yeah, I felt like it was very well written. The book cover gives historical horror, however, it is contemporary. So I feel like the book cover kind of puts the book at a disadvantage, because if you want just a historical horror, it looks Victorian for whatever reason, but it is not. So um something to note. Fiend by Alma Katsu, I've read a few, not read a few times. Fiend by Alma Katsu, I've talked about a few times already, and don't really have much more to say than what I've already said, that it is about a business that is demon powered. A family has a association with a demon that powers them, and you know that from the beginning. And I just felt like it was well written on the sentence level. I really enjoyed reading it, hoping that it was going to go somewhere, but I didn't really feel like it went anywhere unexpected, and overall isn't one that I would recommend over especially The Captive, which I talked about in a comparison video of the two, because they have a similar premise, where The Captive is also about a demon powered family, um a demon powered family business, and I just felt like it had a more interesting take on it, and actually had something to say about capitalism, etc., whereas Fiend is from the perspective of being in the family. And you would have to be a truly terrible person to be part of that family. However, they talk like they're normal people, so I don't agree with that. um this channel is not very sensitive to billionaires. Sorry. If you're unless you are a billionaire and you're watching this, in which case, like, comment, subscribe, etc. Killer on the Road by Stephen Graham Jones. Really enjoyed this one as well. It is about a girl who is running away from home. She is hitchhiking away from home in Wyoming. She runs into ex-boyfriend, best friends, and they're trying to stage a kind of intervention with her about her running away from home and hitchhiking. However, what they don't know is that she has been marked by a very weird serial killer, one with extra human powers, as it were. This is so fun. Stephen Graham Jones can write a wild premise like nobody's business. Maybe it wasn't as high of a high as the Buffalo Hunter, but this one was really fun and is more of a action story. And he writes action really well. I felt like it was sharp, concise. I mean, it's not a novella, but I just felt like it did what it needed to do as a genre read, and just really fun. Like the cat and mouse game of a hitchhiker serial killer is really fun. And of course, there are weird family dynamics because it's Stephen Graham Jones, that she has this strained relationship with her mother. Her father left as a trucker whenever she was a kid and just never came home. She always thinks that he's going to come home. And so that's a part of the story as well, about her thinking about her family relationships. So lots of interesting character relationships, both between her and her family, also with her and her friends, her ex-boyfriend. So it does a lot here, and I thought it did it well. The Bell Chime by Mona Kabbani. My review is question mark filing this one under comfort me with Apple's core, and that's all I really want to say about it. That it was a novella, and the same way with Comfort Me with Apples, where people felt it seemed like everyone else was wowed by a twist or whatever. Like, I just didn't care. Other people like it. Other people like it a lot. I don't know what to tell you. It was like nonsense to me, honestly. Um, Maybe I just wasn't in the right headspace to get it. It's very possible I wasn't in the right headspace, but I just don't have anything else to say about it because I did not like it. Something to do with sleep paralysis, seeing missing posters with your own face on them, um, mental health stuff. Sorry. Worst review I've ever recorded. Sorry. And Herculine by Grace Byron, the last of the month. This one was good, not great for me. That it was billed as Manhunt meets Lord of the Flies, and what they mean is that there's a group of people acting badly together. That's the Lord of the Flies part, and Manhunt, I think, just because it's written by a trans woman about trans people, because it's not like Manhunt at all either. But what it is about, young trans woman living in New York. She has demons that follow her around, both literal and figurative, and she wants to escape that whenever an ex invites her to join this all trans woman commune in Indiana. However, even if you travel to Indiana, your demons will follow you because you are still there. It does deal with a lot of trauma about conversion therapy, about passing, about just about her experiences as a trans woman, in comparison with other trans women. There's a lot of thinking about what other trans women are doing in this book. And whenever she gets to this commune, the women are acting a little bit weird. Her ex has kind of a hold over the other girls, and everyone seems to be whispering all the time. Seems like everyone's whispering behind each other's backs. There's little cliques. Don't really trust anything. They are doing rituals. They're doing sacrifice. They have created their own spiritual system there, and there are more demons. Demons everywhere. I felt like it was maybe a little bit too literal. However, the thing that was, I guess, the most glaring to me was just the type of writing that I was saying everyone in this bank is a thief does not do. That it was a little bit too jokey and self-aware. Just like people saying, like, would you still love me if I was a worm? Like, just kind of like a little bit millennial, you know what I mean? So just okay for me. I felt like I almost could have loved it, but yeah, there every time that I would get to that place, because I was listening to it and I would just be like, maybe I do really like this. Like, I like where this action is going. I like these characters, and then all of a sudden, like, someone would say something that was so cringy that I would be like, ugh, why'd you do this to me? Like, I wanted to like this so bad, and you're making it so hard to like it because some of the dialogue is so cringy. But those were the 11 books that I read in October. That I read a lot of them for Halloween-a-thon, some of them not. A lot of them were surprise reads as library holds became available. Still finishing some of them in November, but that's what my November is for finishing up all of those half-finished books, tying up all the loose threads, as it were, of the year. But yeah, thank you so much to Kelsi for putting on Halloween-a-thon. It was so much fun. It helped me enjoy Halloween so much more. Please let me know if you like these full month wrap-up videos. I feel like it's a loose thread whenever I don't do them, which is why I eventually try to do them, but it's not necessarily my favorite thing to do, to talk about 11 books at once. I feel like talking about 4 books at once is more manageable, but I don't really know what you want to see. It's not that I mind doing it. I just feel like you can really delve in a little bit deeper whenever you're talking about 3 to 5 books at once rather than 10 plus. But let me know what you think. But I will definitely have more of those new horror release roundup videos coming soon, because I'm still getting to so many. I'm just having so much fun reading new releases. I've never prioritized new releases like this before, but as soon as a book comes onto the library page, I put a hold on it. And so I'm trying to get to them as soon as they come out. But things happen. But let me know, what was the best book that you read in October? What was your favorite thing you did for Halloween? Which of these books sounds the most interesting to you? Just talk to me about something. But I'll talk to you later. Until next time. Bye!